Hey, how's it going? Welcome to my game dev vlog. My name is Louie. Hope you enjoy my content. So I'm brand new to game development. In the past, I've messed around with Unreal, but who hasn't? My goal is to record everything I do along this journey and take you through my thought process, my mistakes, and everything I learn. So let's get started. So I've broken the first week into 3 parts. I have well over 12 hours of footage for this first week, so I didn't want to speed through everything too quickly. So prior to starting this week, I bought a Udemy course on Unity, and I went through about 70% of the course in 2 weeks to get started on the basics of Unity. I have a background in software development, so I figured I didn't need to focus on learning C# in much depth. Instead, I focused on learning how the engine works, setting up characters, engine physics, simple level creation, tile maps, sprite animation, and more. So after going through the course, I felt I had enough basics to get started. So here we are. Oh, and on a side note, I initially used Windows screen recording to capture everything, but found it was all corrupt. Half the screen was green when I went through the editing. Luckily, only a few days into the recording, I switched over to OBS. Second side note, I apologize for half the screen being cut off. When I started using OBS, I just used my old streaming configuration, and I didn't realize it wasn't capturing the entire screen. So it will be fixed for week 2. Okay, so let's get started for real this time. So I don't have a game concept yet, at least not at this point in the week. So I wanted to challenge myself and see if I actually learned anything from my 2 weeks of Udemy by creating some platforms and moving a character. So I got a tile sheet from the Udemy course and created a rule tile. After this, I started on the character, so I got a character sprite from the Udemy course also. Soon after starting, I quickly realized I needed to reference my Udemy projects to get the collision correct for the platforms. So now it was time to create my first script. So let me just say, this game vlog is not going to be super in-depth on how to do things specifically. It's going to be my journey through this process, what I learn. So if you're looking for a how to do something or a tutorial how to build a game or do different aspects of the game, this probably is not the video for you. In the Udemy course, I learned how to use the Unity input system. So I thought that was a good place to start. So to speed things up, I copied some of my code from the course. Since I understand the code, I wasn't worried about skipping the steps and by copying and pasting. So I had some issues with the character jumping, so I went through the code and the input setup to make sure I didn't miss anything. But I couldn't find any issues. Probably spent, I don't know, not all day, but maybe 30 minutes to an hour just trying to figure out, troubleshoot why he can move but he couldn't jump. So finally I closed Unity and I restarted. And just like that, the jump input worked. I don't know why this fixed the problem, but it did happen a few times during the Udemy course. So I don't know if that's just something, a bug in Unity. If you're having issues with Unity and you think it should be working, try just an easy restart. So now that I felt like I was at a good point with my character, just some basic movement, I wanted to make my own sprite. So what did I do? I bought another course on Udemy about creating 2D sprites using a sprite. I really like Udemy. I highly recommend it. I know there's a ton free information out there on YouTube and content, but I think the structure of Udemy really helps and in the long run speeds up the process of learning. I use it all the time for coding when I'm trying to learn something new or a new language. So I highly recommend Udemy if you're trying to pursue or learn a new skill. So for the 2D sprite course, after quickly going through the first part of the course, I had my own original sprite. I was able to import it into Unity and switch out the character sprite with mine. So now the character needed an idle animation. So I created the idle animation using a sprite. I forgot to record this part, but you can see the end result. But I didn't add the idle animation to Udemy. Instead, I went on to creating another animation, a running animation. So to speed things along again, I think taking shortcuts, as long as they're good, are a really good thing, especially for indie developers. So to speed things up, I got a free sprite sheet off the Unity asset store that had a running animation in it. So I used it as an overlay to get the right position for each frame of the animation. So I drew the basic shape and colors of the sprite for each frame. This was pretty tedious. Throughout this process, I adjusted the placement and size of the head, the legs, the feet, all of the main parts for each frame. So I used the overlay as a guide and made adjustments that fit my character. I think I went back multiple times through each frame. I did an outline, then I did maybe adjusted the leg, maybe the size of the leg, the size of the foot, the size of the hands, minor adjustments here and there until until it became something I was happy with. So it was time to add an outline and detail. So I continued to adjust the size and placement of things as needed. When playing through the animation, I noticed that my sprite was moving around in the frame. It was kind of jittering back and forth based on where I drew it in each frame. They weren't all one central location. So I picked a pivot point and adjusted each frame to that point. This made the animation look cleaner and less jittery. After this, I continued to add details via highlights and shadows. The final result I didn't record, so here's the end result. There's a little jitter, but I can live with that for now. So at this point, I was doubting I wanted to do a pixel game. I like pixel games, but in my mind, it's not what I'm looking for the look. And like I said earlier in the video, I don't have a game concept, so I'm still trying to figure out what's best. So I wasn't sure the visuals would be there to attract an audience. I think pixel art games have a smaller audience. Yeah, I think you could do things quicker and easier. You can speed the design process along, definitely, but I don't know, I think I wanted something a little more, something that popped, right? So after some time, some thinking about what draws people to certain games over others, it finally hit me that visuals are extremely important. Right, visuals are what bring people to your game. I think visuals come first and gameplay comes second. So I knew I wanted to create a 2D platformer and pixel art wasn't going to cut it. So I needed to shift my focus to hand-drawn art. So I'm going to leave part 1 there. If you're interested in learning more about my journey, this is only part 1 of week 1. Check out part 2, should be coming here in a few days, for my transition to hand-drawn art. So thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.